It's a trap! Now, to each member of the church I say, keep on the covenant path. Your commitment to follow the Savior by making covenants with him, and then keeping those covenants, will open the door to every spiritual blessing and privilege available to men, women, and children everywhere. Our Father in heaven cherishes his children, and he wants each of us to return home to him. This is a grand goal of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, to help each of us to come back home.
Travis went good song. So, that cough keeps coming back on a cyclical basis. As that guy's has been going on straight through. I find it sad. It's not amusing. It's not trite. It's sad that Mormons think that they can gaslight those of us who've been Mormon. That they think that they can lie to us who've been born and raised Mormon, who know all about the church, and Mormons think that they can lie to us. Joe Walker, for example, commented this morning saying that Mormons are not forced to pay tithing. They don't even talk about it. Get over myself. So I was able to memorize that one. Dear God. Seriously. This denialism that's going on has got to stop. There are just way too many ex-Mormons to fall for Mormon tricks and lies. Because we all know it's number 10 on the interview questions for temple worthiness. Yep. In order to be worthy, you have to be fully paid. Paid up. Not paid as in paycheck paid. And so one of the other dangers that the church has done that I've been warning about as I've been catching on the whole time, all these years, is that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints wants their nation back.
Jackie, Reed, Jackie. in the lobby. Jesse Reed, you have a phone call in the lobby.
After the United States shut them down in 1887 with the Edmunds-Tucker Act, the church reincorporated, used the same name because the other branch off, let's find out their name, because I keep referring to them lately and I can't remember their name. I don't know if they're the Apostolic Brethren or what. Branch offs. List of denominations. Let's see if I can find the image. I'm not looking for Brigham Young. Dear God. Okay, that was a complete waste of my time. Google, what the hell? They went and did a purge of their documents, and now it's worthless now. Because I don't think this has the... Oh, yep, it does. There we go. Alright, so... 1920, the Church of the Christian Brotherhood is actually before 1920, according to where the line appears to be. It looks like in between 1915 and 1920. And then you have the Church of Christ at Haley's Bluff. Okay, unfamiliar with that one. It looks like the Church of Christ Whitmerite merged in with the Church of Christ Temple lot, so that's not Brigham Young's. That's why. Those are, okay. It's, yeah, 1920, there it is. The Council of Friends. My goodness, there's so many branch offs. The Council of Friends. And then they, of course, they don't have 1923 Heber J. Grant with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And if you're unfamiliar with that, I refer you all over the internet for the Articles of Incorporation by Heber J. Grant. October, after conference, later that month, 1923. After the Council of Friends, as I've now found out, who had the opportunity to take the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as their name, and they blew it. And so now, Heber J. Grant was able to fool everybody into thinking, oh, we've never been shut down. No, we're the same church. It's just we don't commit the crimes. I mean, the United States' religious oppression of us. And so, yeah, I grew up believing that there's never been an issue or problem with the United States other than their attempts to try to take away our religious freedom. That the United States is the bad guys. And then you find out that, oh, Brigham Young had it in his temple, covenants, oaths, death to America. Okay. And he masked it by saying, oh, we're going to get them back for what they did to Joseph, even though I've done the research. It was John Taylor who murdered Hiram, and then Willard Richards who shot Joseph in the back and then dumped his body out the window. And then came back over Hiram's head, face, and shot him this right here in this location. And thus the blood stain on the floor. The forensic evidence doesn't lie. And so the church's narratives through John Taylor and Willard Richards are lies, because they don't match the evidence, which Kimball tried to cover up. Spencer W. Kimball, not Heber, who was the leader, using Brigham Young as the puppet master, or the puppeted, whatever you call him, Pinocchio. Because he was more of a public speaker person than Heber was. Heber was more of the evil genius. And, but the religious freedom movement, guys, is now bearing the corrupt fruit. as this it's respect. There it is. Respect for marriage. That act that's going through Congress right now. Last night, the Deseret News posted that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints not only approved earlier this week, they've also been influential in putting in that little phraseology wording, which allow me to bring it up for you. I think it would be in this filing, because I had to do a rush emergency national security threat tip this morning. No, it's not that one. Come on, there it is. Okay. According to Reuters, it states, and I've downloaded it for my own copy for the 200-pound Egyptian gold plates. No church can face a civil lawsuit or other legal action for refusing to provide any service or access to its facilities for any marriage it opposes. This goes back to the Colorado Baker case, California Baker case. This is for doctors who refused. And so no church, which the church made sure to have this in it, and this is why the church approves of this bill for LGBTQ rights, because they're exempt.
Attention
But
guests,
it's worse.
attention guests. The Advantage Service Shuttle is here. Again, the Advantage Service Shuttle has arrived.
And it's because of tithing. Other religions need money to run and operate, but they do not force their membership to pay. Catholics, for example, they have the sale of indulgences, where you can go into confessional and pay to have your sins removed. I don't know if that's still a practice or if they've been pressured to sort of do away with that, where only the mafia are able to pay off the but yeah, you weren't obligated. You were kind of threatened to give a donation with the threat of hell and brimstone, but you weren't forced to pay. And so for marriages, as I was witness to one such marriage in New York on my mission, a 19-year-old mission, they had the couple put their donation for the wedding in a little case container that was quite elaborately decorated. They would give that to the priest who officiated over the wedding for his services. But they were freely allowed to give as much as they wanted, as much as they could afford, so that it wasn't a set thing, thus hurts the poor versus the rich and that type of thing. And they let people give what they wanted. And I'm sure there's probably quid pro quos and favors exchanged and etc. for those who can afford it, but regardless, it doesn't matter. There is no forced payment. When the basket is passed around, there's no forced requirement to pay. There's a peer pressure because it's done publicly, but there's no forced payment. And so in the church, despite what was his name now? Jim Walker? I get rid of it, and it comes back because I'm trapped here. This is prison for me. Joe Walker, who thinks we're not forced, who doesn't understand because he's probably never been to the temple or been on a temple recommend interview question. He's probably less active, which is typically the ones who attack first are those who are less active in the church. Whereas the active Mormons know exactly what I'm talking about and sort of curl up and hide. And thanks to the internet, they can just put a thumbs down and run away. But, yeah, everybody. And when you have to pay at 8 years old a set 10% of all your income, not interest annually, which the scripture says, income. This is what's called a protection racket. Because you're paying, because the church quotes from Malachi, the day that shall burn as an oven. We call it fire insurance. So will a man rob God? Well, you're going to burn if you don't pay. That's what the church tells us. This is a protection racket. And so it then becomes a crime, as we are held hostage to the church, having to pay them the ransom, which is atonement to Jesus, as they claim. We are paying atonement for what was supposed to have been atoned for us, so that we didn't have to pay. So that we could be like other religions and donate of our excess if we were not poor. And if we were poor, we could still be able to buy diapers, pay the rent, and pay the electric bill, and buy food, rather than have to decide whether we pay tithing and be condemned to hell or survive. But I just, this denialism has got to go. And so, as the videos I did yesterday, the first one being more popular than the second one, when we work for the church, and the church requires this ransom money from us, for those of us who are working minimum wage, we're now less than minimum wage. And that's a crime. And others that I go over in the video. And then the one that you guys aren't interested in is our politicians and our government officers in all branches of government, at all levels of government. All Mormons who are involved in government are leveraged and compromised to the church to protect and defend the church. Because if you don't, you're going to get fired, like a certain magistrate judge did back in 2019, who was then assigned to my particular federal case filing to give her one last opportunity to save her name. And she did so by remaining silent throughout the whole rest of her term, not doing a damn thing. And so, I have the receipts, I have the documents. Nobody can gaslight me. I am a victim. As it's child trafficking when we're children paying tithing. It becomes human trafficking when we're adults, either working for the church or just regularly being forced to pay tithing, or being a government officer. We are terrorist sleeper cells as we go out into the world, into government, into all different kinds of positions and ranks throughout the nation. as we protect and defend the church. And that's the danger of Mormons in government. And with this marriage or Respect for Marriage Act, the whole nation is thinking, oh, wow, this is great. LGBTQ finally going to be protected. Not in Utah. You don't get it. You're not comprehending. The church has been step by step plotting, planning, getting things passed over the decades for this moment. They purposely did this. This was part of their plan. If Republicans did not control all of Congress, Trump would not be coming in. They only have an investigation, so there will only be an impeachment but no conviction of Biden. And so the church now is pushing this, as they've already tested it in Arizona and here in Utah. They've been doing this step by step. And as I just read to you, the church, being filthy rich, having numerous companies for sales, service, and facilities, can now oppose anyone, not just LGBTQ, in regards to their disapproval of their choice of marriage. And so women choosing to be single, you're in violation of the church's marriage. You're not being obedient. Therefore, the church opposes your choice of marriage. They disapprove of your lifestyle. And thus, they will deny you service, sales, and access to facilities. And they're all over the government, and they're all over the city, City Creek Mall. That's the church's. That's the church's facility, where they provide services and sales. Do you not understand now? Apartment buildings owned by the church. And it gets worse, because they have family services. Remember what the church used to have and operate? Adoption agency. Why did they stop the adoption agency? Because of gay marriage. Gay marriage got passed throughout the nation. Church dropped the adoption agency because they didn't want to adopt Mormon kids from raped and underage girls to gay couples. They wanted to keep it exclusive to worthy full tithe payers in the church. And now they can bring it back. This is human trafficking, human child trafficking. If they get this passed and signed into law, they can bring back the adoption agency again. Because Roe v. Wade, yeah, that's now been criminalized. And so women are now forced to have the babies. And so the church will step in to help women by taking away the baby that they were raped with and were unable to abort. Do you see the atrocities of this church? Because there's more. There's more. Because we're sex trafficked in temples because of tithing. And other stuff. This law, with that clause, is going to be a nightmare. Because the church will now be able to have polygamy. It's the marriage they approve of. And no church can face a civil lawsuit or other legal action for refusing. They're bringing back polygamy. It's coming back. Nelson's changed the temple specifically for polygamy. And it's not a good thing, guys, because You have to be a leader. If you're not a leader, you don't get the extra wives. You're not worthy. Even though you're paying a full tithe, it's required regardless of your economic status. But because of all the land that the church has, they're going to be able, and the control of government, they're going to be able to turn the whole state of Utah into a religious theocracy. They're going to restore their nation here. And no church can face any civil lawsuit or other legal action for dominating a whole state of the United States. They will effectively have seceded from the nation while still being a part of the nation, because they will be free from criminal liability. Anything goes that they want. All the crimes. They will be purging Utahns further than they've already been doing. Blacks, women, LGBTQIAPO+, those who study the ancient language of the Jews, the poor. Operation Rio Grande was instigated by the church's demand. They didn't like the homeless panhandling at Temple Square. They had no intention of building this shelter. They had to do this because the people cried out, "Hey, fix the homeless problem that you caused with this Operation Rio Grande." And so instead of the 1,100 beds at in Rio Grande, they now have 3 buildings with a total of 700 beds. And so they're now having to build more beds, more buildings. So yes, they're purposely purging us. And with this law passed, they can go forward with everything, because no church can face a civil lawsuit or other legal action. BYU, the big bleep you now. All of you have been protesting Brad Wilcox and others, because no church can face a civil lawsuit or other legal action. And so those of us who've lived here for a while know about the church's eminent domain, where they ex post facto brand new laws to remove undesirable businesses. Kick them out. The Zion Curtain was all about the church. The alteration of medical marijuana that Utahns voted for had to be altered by the church because they disapproved of it. They tried to stop it. They paid for a fake study to lie to the voters, and it didn't work. And so then they went to the legislator. You owe us because you're compromised. Do what we tell you to do. They did it. This is the danger we face. This is the threat, the national security threat of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I've been warning all this time. I even sent out warnings to the federal government all this time. And even this morning, but Romney was a part of it. As I read from the Deseret News, Romney was the one who got the other senators, the 4 senators, to approve of it and talk about the church. We'd like to thank the church for adding this little section, Kristen Sinema, the betrayer of mankind, of all people. Yay. So, there you have it. This is the danger we face. And I'm not sure if the House is going to vote on it tonight, or by tonight, or if it's going to be voted on today and then passed to the Senate again for final approval. I don't know how soon. It seems like it's being rushed here by the church because of the midterm election losses. And so they're going to the immediate plan B here. So so that even if the government doesn't fall, the church can still secede from the nation. And yet Mormons still think they can gaslight me and think there's no issue. Because Joe, yeah, he's screwed when the church takes over. He's going to be blindsided. If he's married, his wife will be taken from him because he's not worthy enough. You don't think it's going to happen? What do you think Brigham Young was falsely accusing Joseph Smith of doing? All you ex-Mormons know what he was falsely accused of, even though you believe it was real. You aren't paying attention to who's telling you the information. And even if they're women telling you the information, you got to remember, they're slaves. They're property. They have to obey their masters. And so if you've ever seen a terrorist organization kidnap people and then have them filmed to send the ransom money to save their lives, that's what all these women are doing in their journals. They're throwing Joseph Smith under the bus because they have to. They're ordered to. And you don't get it because you live in freedom, or you used to before Roe v. Wade was overturned. And so, yeah, with Roe v. Wade overturned, I keep warning you, and you don't believe.